You know their voices, their hits, and their stage names, but would you recognize them by their birth names? Before the fame, these country legends had names that sounded more like small-town neighbors than chart-topping icons. Get ready to be surprised by the real names behind country music's biggest stars. Number 20. Kitty Wells. She wasn't born a kitty, but she became the queen of country music. Before country music had a female superstar, one woman dared to challenge the norms, and she did it under a name that wasn't even hers. Born Ellen Muriel Deason, she would go on to become Kitty Wells, the trailblazing voice who shattered the industry's gender barrier. In 1952, she shook the charts and the country music establishment with her bold anthem, "It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels." Not only did it stir controversy, it made her the first female country artist to top the U.S. country charts, launching her into stardom and rewriting the rules for women in the genre. But before the fame, Wells sang in harmony with Johnny Wright and his sister Louise, touring together as Johnny Wright and the Harmony Girls. The journey led to Wright forming the duo Johnny and Jack, with Jack Anglin, Louise's husband. Their group started as the Tennessee Hillbillies, later rebranding as the Tennessee Mountain Boys. Somewhere along the road, Ellen became Kitty. The name was picked by Johnny Wright from an old folk ballad, Sweet Kitty Wells by the Pickard Family. Under that new identity, she performed background vocals with the duo, and even toured with Roy Acuff and the Smoky Mountain Boys, long before her breakout hit crowned her the First Lady of country music. And now, let's move on to another female country sensation. Her real name? Let's just say once you hear it, you'll never look at her famous persona the same way again. Number 19. Shania Twain. She wasn't always Shania Twain, and she wasn't always a country superstar either. Before the spotlight, before the records, and before the rhinestones, she was Eileen Regina Edwards, a little girl from Windsor, Ontario, born to Sharon and Clarence Edwards. When her parents split while she was just 2, her mother packed up the children and moved to Timmins, Ontario, a place that would quietly shape the woman the world would come to know. Life changed again when Sharon married Jerry Twain, an Ojibwa from the nearby Mattagami First Nation. Jerry legally adopted Eileen and her sisters, giving them his last name, Twain. Together, Jerry and Sharon had a son, Mark, and later adopted Jerry's nephew, Daryl, after the boy's mother passed away. Though biologically non-Indigenous, Twain's deep family ties to Jerry Twain led many to mistakenly believe she was of Ojibwa descent. Still, she holds a status card and is listed on the Temagami First Nation membership list. And in 1991, when a recording deal in Nashville came calling, Twain sought U.S. immigration status. And thanks to Jerry's full Ojibwa lineage and the rights under Treaty 1795, she was officially recognized as having 50% Indigenous American blood. From humble beginnings in Northern Ontario to being legally recognized as part of a First Nation, her roots are as layered and fascinating as her rise to fame. Number 18. Garth Brooks. Imagine your favorite country star suddenly becoming a mysterious, brooding rock star with a completely new name. That's exactly what happened when Garth Brooks, yes, the Garth Brooks, vanished behind the persona of Chris Gaines. But this wasn't just a stage name for a new sound. It was an entire fictional identity, crafted for a movie that never even made it to the screen. Garth was set to star in a biopic-style film about this moody, emotionally complex rocker. To bring the character to life, he released an album under the Chris Gaines name, swapping his cowboy boots for eyeliner and country twang for pop-rock ballads. The unexpected shift left fans scratching their heads. While the album didn't soar the charts as he'd hoped, it became a bold experiment in artistry. Though the Chris Gaines project flopped commercially, it proved something deeper about Garth Brooks. He wasn't afraid to take massive creative swings. Today, that curious detour into alter ego territory remains one of the most bizarre and talked about chapters in country music history. Number 17. Faith Hill. She may be a household name now, but Faith Hill wasn't born Faith Hill. Born Audrey Faith Perry on September 21st, 1967, she reinvented herself with a name that would soon be etched in country music history. With nearly 50 million albums sold worldwide, she became one of the genre's most iconic figures. Her debut albums, Take Me As I Am, 1993, and It Matters to Me, 1995, didn't just introduce her voice to the world. They stormed the charts, each scoring multiple #1 hits on Billboard's country list. But she didn't stop there. Her 2001 ballad There You'll Be, recorded for the Pearl Harbor soundtrack, soared internationally and became her best-selling single in Europe. Nominated for an Academy Award, it proved that a name change was just the start of her legendary crossover success. Sometimes, a new name isn't just a brand, it's the launchpad to stardom. Number 16. Winona Judd. The name Winona Judd sounds tailor-made for country royalty, but the fiery redhead was actually born Christina Simonella. Her mother, Naomi Judd, was just a teenager when she gave birth. Christina took the surname of Naomi's then-husband, though he wasn't her biological father. Years later, Christina and Naomi packed their dreams and moved to Nashville, forming the now legendary mother-daughter duo, the Judds. As their fame skyrocketed, Christina sought a stage name that felt more fitting, something with grit and southern flavor. Inspired by the Route 66 town of Winona, Arizona, and borrowing her mother's stage surname, she rebranded herself as Winona Judd. Before launching her solo career, she made the name change official, and the rest is country music history. Number 15. Tim McGraw. Imagine thinking you knew who your father was, only to discover at age 11 that your real dad was a famous Major League Baseball pitcher. That was the shocking truth Samuel Timothy Smith uncovered growing up in Louisiana. Known today as Tim McGraw, he spent his early years believing his stepfather was his biological father and went by the last name Smith. But everything changed the day he stumbled upon his birth certificate. It listed Tug McGraw, the star pitcher for the New York Mets and Philadelphia Phillies, as his real father. The discovery rocked Tim's world, but it also reshaped his identity. As he stepped into the spotlight of country music, he embraced the last name McGraw, paying tribute to the man whose talent he may have inherited, even if Tug wasn't around during Tim's childhood. Eventually, father and son reconciled, forming a bond later in life. And as Tim McGraw, he would go on to become a titan in the country music world. Number 14. Hank Williams. He was born Hiram Williams, but the world would come to know him by a name that echoed through honky-tonks and jukeboxes: Hank. Growing up in Alabama, young Hiram learned guitar from African-American bluesman Rufus T. Tot Payne, who helped shape the sound that would define Williams' music. With deep roots in blues and country, he launched his professional career after winning an amateur talent contest in Montgomery in the late 1930s. Performing at schoolhouses, theaters, and roadside bars, he formed his band, the Drifting Cowboys, with his mother managing their bookings. In 1937, while his family opened a boarding house in Montgomery, Hiram informally changed his name to Hank, a name that felt more fitting for a rising country star. That same year, he won first place in a talent show at the Empire Theater with his original tune, WPA Blues, pocketing $15, nearly $300 today. And with that, Hank Williams was born, not just in name, but in legend. Number 13. Kacey Musgraves. Before she lit up the country music scene with her honest lyrics and dreamy sound, Kacey Musgraves toyed with a different identity. Born Kacey Lee Musgraves, she once considered performing under the name Kacey Rose, a softer, stage-friendly alias she flirted with while still finding her artistic voice. But as she grew more confident in her songwriting and style, she realized something important. Authenticity matters. Instead of hiding behind a name, she leaned into her truth. By sticking with her real name, Kacey Musgraves not only honored her roots, but also built a brand centered on honesty and heart. That decision made her more relatable and unforgettable in the eyes of her fans. Number 12. Travis Tritt. James Travis Tritt doesn't quite have the same ring, does it? That's the name he was born with. But when it came time to step into the spotlight, he made one small but smart change. He flipped his first and middle names. Suddenly, Travis Tritt was born. The double T alliteration gave his name a rhythmic country feel that stuck in people's minds. It wasn't a drastic reinvention, but in the competitive world of 90s country, that subtle switch helped him stand out, and it worked. Number 11. Reba McEntire. Some legends don't need to change a thing. Reba McEntire, born Reba Nell McEntire, considered going by just her first name in the early days. After all, Reba had the power and punch of a one-name icon, but ultimately, she held on to her full name, a nod to her family, her heritage, and her early performances with the Singing McEntires, a group she formed with her siblings under the guidance of their mother. As Reba's career exploded in the 1980s with hits like Whoever's in New England, she proved that a strong name and a stronger voice was all she needed to rise to the top. Who's next on the list of country stars who almost had a different name? Let's find out. Number 10. Ella Langley. Before the spotlight found her, she was just a small-town girl chasing a big-time dream. Elizabeth Camille Langley, now known to fans everywhere as Ella Langley, was born on May 3, 1999, in Hope Hull, Alabama. But stardom didn't come overnight. Langley's journey began the hard way, grinding her way through bar gigs and local festivals, while crafting songs that reflected her southern roots and fiery spirit. Her debut single, Perfect, dropped on May 24, 2018, but surprisingly, it, and much of her early catalog, was later scrubbed from streaming platforms. Why? Because Ella was just getting started. She hit the road, performing non-stop across Alabama for the next 2 years, sharpening her voice and storytelling. By 2019, she made the leap to Nashville, where she immersed herself in the songwriting scene and earned a reputation through local writers' rounds. Platforms like Raised Rowdy and 65 South took notice, helping boost her signal in the indie country world. Today, she's signed to Sony Music Nashville and Columbia Records, proving that with enough grit and soul, small-town dreams really do come true. Number 9. Kix Brooks. Leon Eric Brooks III wasn't a name made for the big stage, but Kix Brooks sure was. The legendary country music artist, actor, and film producer is best known as one half of the iconic duo Brooks and Dunn, and for hosting American Country Countdown. Before teaming up with Ronnie Dunn, Kix already had solo success, even landing 2 singles on the Hot Country Songs chart and releasing an album with Capitol Records. After 2 decades of chart-topping hits, Brooks and Dunn took separate paths, with Kix releasing his solo album New to This Town. His legacy was cemented in 2019 when he was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Reinventing himself with a catchy stage name wasn't just smart, it helped make Kix a standout in the crowded world of country stars. Ready for the next name? Let's keep going. Number 8. Randy Houser. From Mississippi roots to country radio royalty, Randy Houser didn't just chase the spotlight, he bulldozed his way onto center stage. Sean Randolph Houser, better known as Randy Houser, is a powerhouse voice in country music. With over 1 billion streams and a string of hits under his belt, he's earned his place among the genre's heavyweights. His breakout album, How Country Feels, lit up the charts with smash singles like the title track, Runnin' Out of Moonlight, and Goodnight Kiss. His first number 1 as a songwriter. But it was Like a Cowboy that truly turned heads, earning him a CMA Song of the Year nomination and showcasing the emotional depth in his vocals. Houser launched his major label journey in 2008 with Universal South Records, debuting Anything Goes, which featured his first top 5 hit, Boots On. In 2012, he made a bold leap to Broken Bow Records' Stony Creek imprint and struck gold. By 2013, he had back-to-back number 1s and a fan base that just kept growing. Number 7. Dierks Bentley. When Frederick Bentley arrived in Nashville, he didn't just bring his guitar. He brought a name the country world would never forget: Dierks. Born Frederick Dierks Bentley on November 20th, 1975 in Phoenix, Arizona, he chose to use his memorable middle name as his stage identity. That one-name recognition soon matched the power of his music. After signing with Capitol Nashville in 2003, Dierks dropped his self-titled debut, and the industry took notice. His follow-up, Modern Day Drifter, went platinum, and Long Trip Alone followed with a gold certification. By 2008, he had enough hits to release a greatest hits album, and he didn't slow down. In 2023, he unveiled his 10th studio album, Gravel and Gold, proving his staying power. Known for blending classic country with modern twists, Dierks is more than just a chart topper. He's a family man, a licensed pilot, and a performer with a deep love for the genre and its fans. Number 6. Jelly Roll. What do you get when you mix raw Southern grit with heartfelt lyrics and a fearless hustle? You get Jelly Roll, a man who turned pain into poetry and struggle into stardom. Born Jason Bradley Deford, Jelly Roll didn't just dream about music. He lived it, selling mixtapes out of the back of his car before streaming was even a thing. Influenced by Southern rap giants like 3 6 Mafia, UGK, and 8-Ball and MJG, Jelly Roll dropped his first project, The Plain Schmear Tape, in 2003. It wasn't long before he was a member of the hip-hop group Snow, contributing to their album Year Round. From that point on, he flooded the underground with mixtapes and solo albums, collaborating with names like Lil White, Struggle Jennings, Haystack, and Tech N9. But Jelly Roll's rise wasn't without controversy. His 2013 mixtape, Whiskey Weed Women, was originally titled Whiskey Weed and Waffle House, until the restaurant threatened legal action. In true rebel fashion, he slapped a cease and desist stamp over the logo and kept it moving. Fast forward to April 2024, another legal hiccup. A Pennsylvania wedding band named Jelly Roll sued him for trademark infringement. Thankfully, the issue was resolved privately. Just 2 months later, he appeared in Rebel Country, a documentary about the wild ones reshaping country music. Through all the drama, Jelly Roll has stayed true to his roots, using music to tell his story and connect with fans who've lived through their own battles. From the streets to the stage, his journey is anything but ordinary. Number 5. Hank Williams Jr. He was born into country music royalty, but Hank Williams Jr. wasn't content living in his father's shadow. Known to millions as Bocephus, he didn't just inherit a famous name. He inherited expectations, pressure, and a legacy almost impossible to top. At just 14 years old, he took the national stage on The Ed Sullivan Show, performing the songs of his late father, the legendary Hank Williams. Fans saw a living tribute, but Hank Jr. was already yearning to break free. Throughout the 1960s, he mimicked his father's style, even appearing on Shindig as a tribute act. But deep down, he was fighting to find his voice. That voice began to emerge in the 1970s, fusing gritty rock, soulful blues, and outlaw country into something entirely his own. Then came the fall that nearly ended it all. In 1975, while climbing Ajax Peak in Montana, Hank Jr. tumbled nearly 500 feet. The accident shattered his face and nearly his spirit. But what followed was a remarkable transformation. After months of painful recovery, Hank returned with a new sound, a new look, and a fearless attitude. He redefined himself with hits that roared with rebellion and independence, becoming a cornerstone of both country rock and the outlaw movement. A master of many instruments, from guitar and dobro to fiddle and harmonica, Hank Williams Jr. proved he wasn't just the son of a legend. He was a legend in his own right. In 2020, the country world finally gave him his due. Hank Williams Jr. was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Number 4. LeAnn Rimes. Imagine being just 13 years old and already sounding like a seasoned country legend. That's exactly what happened when LeAnn Rimes burst onto the music scene, turning heads and topping charts with a voice so powerful it didn't seem possible it came from a teenager. Born as Margaret LeAnn Rimes Cibrian, she began life in Mississippi but grew up in Texas, where her vocal talent was unmistakable from an early age. With her parents' support, especially her father, Wilbur, who became her manager and producer, LeAnn started performing in local theater and music competitions, releasing 2 independent albums before hitting her teens. Then came the breakthrough. In 1996, she signed with Curb Records and dropped her debut single, Blue, a track that rocketed into the Billboard Hot Country Songs Top 10. Her album of the same name went 6 times platinum, cementing her as a country music phenomenon. But LeAnn didn't stop there. In 1997, she shocked the world again, this time by crossing over into pop with How Do I Live, one of the best-selling singles of the entire decade. That song helped power her next album, You Light Up My Life, Inspirational Songs, to quadruple platinum status. The hits kept coming. She followed with Sitting on Top of the World and LeAnn Rimes, both going platinum. And her voice lit up movie soundtracks too, with unforgettable songs like I Need You and Can't Fight the Moonlight, the latter becoming a global anthem. These iconic tracks would later be bundled into the platinum-certified album I Need You, proving once and for all that LeAnn Rimes wasn't just a child prodigy, she was born to be a star. Number 3. Raylan. Imagine standing on a massive stage, bright lights in your eyes, and millions watching at home, at just 17 years old. That was Raylan's reality when she stepped onto the Voice stage in 2012. Raylan, born Rachel Lynn Woodward in Baytown, Texas, wasn't just chasing a dream, she was living it. She discovered her passion for music at 15, graduated high school early, and with a little encouragement from a Team Adam contestant she collaborated with, she decided to take the leap and audition for season 2 of The Voice. Her blind audition song, Hell on Heels by Pistol Annie's, Miranda Lambert's group. The performance caught the attention of both Adam Levine and Blake Shelton, but Raylan followed her gut and joined Team Blake. She soon faced off against Adley Stump with a rendition of Free Fallin' and won the battle round, though it stirred up controversy online, prompting Blake Shelton to defend his pick on Twitter. During the live rounds, Raylan showcased her versatility by singing Maroon 5's Wake Up Call and Jason Aldean's She's Country, a fan favorite. But it was her final performance, If I Die Young by the band Perry, that marked her last moment on the show. She was eliminated in the quarterfinals, narrowly losing out to Aaron Willett. Despite not winning The Voice, Raylan's time on the show was just the beginning of a blossoming country music career.